Hello everyone, a long video here. So as I'm sure most of you have heard, Russian High Command has issued an order to retreat to the eastern side of the Dnipro River in Kherson district. I knew today was going to be an interesting day, so I've booked a day off work so I have time to look at this properly. This is going to be a very map and image heavy video, looking mainly at satellite imagery. First, we have photos here showing that Russia is blowing bridges. This is a tactic used to delay the Ukrainian advance and give time for a withdrawal. It's a smart idea. Ukraine will have to wait for repairs before continuing the advance. Meanwhile, Russia could zero in with its rearguard artillery and hone in on the bridges and further hinder the repairs. The images which you've just seen now are of a small bridge near Sniharivka, which has recently been liberated. This is here, circled in blue, crossing the Ingulets River. Highlighted in red is another bridge. We don't have a photo of it from recently, but I did dig up this satellite image from August. It's blurry, but it does show that the bridge is out. This one is near the front lines, so I think it was done by Ukraine earlier on. South of Sniharivka, we have a photo of this bridge. This one looks to be over some sort of canal or drainage ditch and isn't as much of a hindrance. It's something which can be easily rigged up to cross this. Maybe even the banking isn't severe enough so that tanks can cross it anyway. But still, even if it causes an hour delay, it's better than nothing. This is located here, so not a big hindrance. Actually, looking at this image, we can see that it can just be circled around, to be honest. It was quite pointless. This is going to do nothing. These next photos are of the Dnipro bridge. This clearly can't be used, and it will be a difficult job to fix. We have some old satellite images from October, and on this we can tell that while the bridge is badly damaged and full of holes, it's unusable for heavy vehicles, it was still standing. So Russia has now completely brought the bridge down. Also on this image, you can see a pontoon that was built. I expect this will be removed. So this is another bridge gone. On deep states, we can see that this was crossing the Ingulets River too. Now this map here has been put together by Twitter users, showing in red the bridges reported as gone today. Yellow is ones which were already previously hit. However, there are more bridges along the Ingulets not shown. I have satellite images of some, but of course the imagery is dated. Some of these were confirmed by the imagery as already being gone, so they are worth taking a look at to show the current situation. The first one here, October the 17th, we can see that this bridge is still standing. Here's its location on Deep States' wall map, again crossing the Ingulets River. The next one is unusable as of October the 17th. This one likely done by Ukraine earlier on. This one separates Barativka and Yelizavetivka. Continuing south, again from October the 17th, we can see this bridge is gone. This bridge separates Novosavivka and Halahanivka. Continuing on our way south, we have another bridge which is unusable. This one is the final stop on our short bridge tour, as the one to the south of this is Dnipro, which I've already covered. Again, on deep states we can see this one separates Oleksandrivka and Novotimofivka. Here is deep states' view overall. Blue arrows mark the Ukraine advance which we know about, liberated settlements. Red crosses mark bridges which can't be used. The red one circled is unknown, but I assume by now it can't be used too. So east and west sides of the Ingulets River are effectively cut off. However, I don't think this will be a huge hindrance. As we can see, Ukraine is advancing along both parts anyway, so the delay caused will be minimal. Now I hope you're not sick about hearing about bridges yet, because we do have more to go through. This image has been put together by NL Tracker on Twitter. It shows the retreat route over the Dnipro, which is put together mainly using ferries. The Antonovsky Bridge is unusable, and the railway bridge can't support heavy vehicles. The map shows the known staging points, the ferry loading points, and the landing points for the ferries. One is mentioned as being hit many times, so it's been moved. The loading point remains the same, as does the rally point. This image here shows two of the barges which are being used, along with their coordinates. As seen here, these are on the Konka River, which leads into the Dnipro. This satellite image shows the rallying point, pointed out on the larger map earlier. On this image, which is from November the 3rd, we can see there are 12 vehicles waiting, quite spaced apart for the most part for protection. The next image gives further details of the ferry landing points. So when the retreat fully takes hold, we know the ferries and barges are going to be landing around this area. Now it's worth pointing out that we haven't seen any evidence of heavy vehicles using these ferries. So far we've only seen light trucks, so it's unknown if these ferries and barges can actually support anything heavier or not. And if they can, it's likely they can only carry one at a time. Here is a zoomed out shot of one of the landing zones. We can see this one is quite busy. There are 3 ferries highlighted, as well as a Raptor class patrol boat. Now, I didn't know Raptors were deployed along the Dnipro as far as I'm aware, so that's quite interesting to see. This drop-off point is here, on the Konka River, south of the Antonovsky Bridge. Here is another look at a landing zone. On this image, we can see a pair of large ferries docking, also highlighted as some trenches and defensive positions, which is interesting to see. I will look at defensive positions further later on in the video. This is here on the Cheka River, which leads into the Konka River, which leads into the Dnipro. And we aren't finished yet with crossings and ferries and drop-off points. Here we have the Antonovsky Bridge from the 3rd of November. There are 2 active ferries shown and a possible barge. Now, the Antonovsky Bridge ferry seems to be mainly used for civilian vehicles, though we have seen smaller military vehicles use it too, mainly small trucks. But I wonder if that will change because of the current withdrawal. I fully expect so. Now let's go into Kherson city itself. Here, there are 2 ferry loading points highlighted. Also visible here, a cluster of barges and ships, which I covered in a past video, located on the eastern bank of the Dnipro. I believe these were being stored here to use as barges and ferries, but a few people have suggested they were moved here solely to deny them to Ukraine, which does seem very possible. This is located here, the southern part of Kherson city. This image zooms in on the leftmost dock. We can see some barges circled in yellow and also, interestingly, another Raptor-class patrol boat docked here. This image is from October the 24th. This image zooms in on the second ferry loading point visible. 3 large ships are seen, with the loading point pointed out by the map creator. My final satellite image of the crossings is here. This shows the ferry unloading spots, as well as a number of defensive positions, trenches and earth walls which have been constructed. This point is reported to be less used than it was because of numerous calls from Mr. HIMARS, but it's still heavily defended with trenches and similar. As seen here, this is located in a town called Hola Pristan. Before we finish bridge and crossing talk and move on to defensive positions, here's a photo from November the 10th of the barge crossing, which is near the Antonovsky Bridge. And yeah, that looks like it can't be used anymore. So the only real crossing left, which I've shown in the satellite image here, is Nova Kakovka. The main bridge is fully repaired, and there are 3 smaller and lighter bridges. So this is the only real crossing point. Let's go back to our deep states map. So the western side of the Ingulets River, there's no way to move heavy vehicles other than the ferries, and we've only seen light trucks on those so far. On the eastern side, Nova Kakovka is the only real option. So they are in a bit of a pickle, at least when it comes to getting heavy vehicles back across the Dnipro. I expect the priority will be holding Nova Kakovka for as long as possible. So that's the end of bridge talk. Let's look at defensive positions now, and let's take a small break from satellite imagery and see a little video. This video shows those little concrete pillboxes we've seen before. These are in Hola Pristan. These are placed all higgledy-piggledy and are due to be moved elsewhere. These are currently stored here at the moment, marked by the map marker. Now, that was just a very short break from satellite images because now I have some more, put together by Coachshaw on Twitter. This image is from Hola and it shows a long line of defensive trenches along a river, marked as the Dnipro, but it's actually the Konka River. There are also dugouts for vehicles, which I expect is going to be used for artillery. I expect some of the concrete boxes we've seen will be placed along this trench. These are located here, just south of Hola so that town is very well fortified. Here's another satellite image, this one of Kakhovka. There are 2 rows of trenches along with large positions for vehicles. These are being dug along the bank of the river. Turning to maps, these are located here, northeast of the Nova Kakhovka Bridge. These aren't the only positions in Kakhovka. I did a video on this photo a while ago, showing a row of concrete structures gazing out along the river. These are located here, looking out over the Dnipro. The positions east of the Dnipro aren't just along the banks. There are defensive lines even 18 kilometres back, as shown here. This quite impressive series of works shows anti-vehicle trenches and other trench formations constructed along a key road. You may notice a canal too, with bridges over it. I expect these are ordered to be removed if there's any real danger of an advance in this direction. Also not shown, but I fully expect this area to be heavily mined. Here is its location in relation to Kakhovka and the Dnipro River. Now finally, this image was put together by Coachshaw, which is worth a look at. The front line is shown in red and it shows the 3 lines of defence along the Dnipro on the eastern side. The first, shown in purple, is along the banks of the river. The second, shown in orange, is a bit further back. And finally, we have the third line. So this is looking like it could be a very, very difficult nut to crack. So it's interesting to see. These aren't the only defensive lines being constructed. There are more elsewhere in Ukraine, but I think I will leave those for another video. So if you found this video interesting, I'd appreciate it if you could click like and subscribe, and comment too. I would enjoy reading your thoughts on what we've seen and discussed here today. I know the video was a bit satellite heavy, and many apologies, but my next video which is scheduled is also satellite image heavy, of Crimean air bases. That will be my next video, or unless something interesting happens, one later, but it is coming and I hope you find that interesting too. For those who made it this far, thanks very much. I appreciate you sticking with me while I waffle on about bridges and boats and trenches. So thanks again, and take care everybody.